大家好，欢迎大家收看本期的世界图书馆馆长访谈。本期我们采访的嘉宾是英国国家图书馆的馆长卡洛琳布雷泽女士。英国国家图书馆是世界上规模最大的图书馆之一，其藏品数量超过了1.5亿，并且每年都会增添300万件藏品。这些藏品最远可以追溯到数千年以前，有的则属于当下的数字化时代。它们涵盖了几百种语言，是一代又一代人的知识的结晶。就像人们常常形容故宫的房子之多一样，如果你在英国国家图书馆看书的话，每天你可以看5件藏品的话，那么你至少要用到8万年才能将所有的藏品都看完。正是借助于如此丰富的馆藏，英国国家图书馆也成为世界上最具影响力的学术图书馆之一。如果你是哈利波特的粉丝的话，那么你一定不会陌生 King's Cross 国王十字车站。英国国家图书馆就位于国王十字车站附近，整栋建筑一共有14层，地上有9层，地下有5层。它也是英国在20世纪兴建的最大的公共建筑。英国国家图书馆为读者提供阅览服务，最多可以提供1200个位置供读者阅览。它也提供全球最大规模的文献传递服务，每年为全球的读者提供数以百万计的文献传递。此外，它还提供展览和文化教育活动。英国国家图书馆致力于将自己的馆藏分享到国内外，它会同全球各地的国家图书馆或文化机构开展许多数字化项目。中国国家图书馆和英国国家图书馆的交流最早可以追溯到20世纪30年代。20世纪，双方的交流都聚焦于敦煌遗书，其中最具有代表性的项目是现在仍在进行的国际敦煌项目，也就是 IDP。进入到21世纪之后，双方的交流内容有所扩展，比如英藏中华古籍保护计划项目和各种学术研讨会等。2015年，中国国家图书馆还协助英国国家图书馆在伦敦完成了英藏甲骨展。2017年4月到6月，英国国家图书馆的藏品首次走进了中国。由中国国家图书馆和英国国家图书馆联合举办的从莎士比亚到福尔摩斯大英图书馆的珍宝展在国家典籍博物馆开展。在此次展览之中，一共展出了英国标志性作家的9部手稿、2部早期印品，内容方面涵盖了戏剧、小说以及诗歌3个部分。这些手稿以及早期印品都是首次在国内亮相，其中不乏大名鼎鼎的《简·爱》的修订稿本、《罗密欧与朱丽叶》的第2版、4开本等。此次我们采访的是卡洛琳布雷泽女士，她现任英国国家图书馆的馆长，主要负责馆藏资源的策划、开发与管理，满足读者和学术科研的需求。她十分注重数字图书馆服务的发展，尤其是在英国推行数字图书馆成脚本制度。他一直致力于促进国内外图书馆和信息管理的专业发展，常在国内外各大会议上发言，并且为专业期刊和书籍撰写文章。此外，他还在欧洲多个图书馆行业组织担任要职。本次我们就英国国家图书馆的馆藏资源开发、国际合作以及馆员培训等问题，对卡洛琳·布雷泽女士进行了简单的采访。
Nice to meet you, Ms. Brazier. Welcome to National Library of China. First, could you give us a brief introduction of the British Library?
Well, thank you for doing me the honour of interviewing me today. The British Library is the national library of the United Kingdom. And as such, we are one of the major legal deposit libraries in the UK, but we also have vast historical collections from around the world. We serve both the research and academic communities, but we also serve the general public through exhibitions and events, and we try and make our collections available to everybody.
Okay, as far as I know, the British Library takes a leading role in network platform service around the globe, such as BLPC, STM Search Service, insight database, and so on. So what is the most difficult part in digitalization, and what do you see the future of digital resource construction in the British Library?
We've always tried to use digital services where we can to reach more people. The challenge is that people's expectations and needs change very rapidly. So we have to constantly redesign and redevelop our services for each new generation. Our big focus at the moment is a lot of our historical digital services were for providing information services to researchers. And we're still doing a lot of development in that area. And the big challenge is really about incorporating open access content into our services. So content that's out there on the web. How do we curate that for people in a way that we do with other collections? But as well as looking at digital information generally, we also want to do the mass digitization of our own collections. And we need to think about how do those collections work well for people in a digital world. When you look at a precious manuscript, you get an immediate emotional feel. When you look at the same thing digitally, how do we make sure that through the digital screens you can get that same feeling? So it's that's a very interesting challenge for us.
Okay. We know that the British Library takes part in some international cooperation projects, such as International Dunhuang Project. And we know that the British Library is a member of European Library Alliance. Then what is likely to happen after the Brexit? And what is the focus in your future involvement in international exchange?
We hope that Brexit will not affect our international work too much. Our work with the European national libraries is based on the family of European countries within the Council of Europe, which is the 49 countries across Europe, not just the 28 countries within the European Union. So we hope that that will not change at all. It will affect our access to some European levels of research funding, and along with the academic community within the UK, we're waiting to see what will come out of the Brexit negotiations as how it will affect research funding. But actually, a lot of our international collaboration is actually beyond Europe. So with China, I mean, the IDP project is in some ways one of the best examples of a long-term international collaboration. Like all things that are long-term, you need to keep making sure that it's staying up to date and is serving the needs of future generations of scholars. So we want to keep working on major projects like that, and we want to find new projects like that we can work on. We have international collections from around the world, and we are in discussion with a lot of national libraries and other countries around the world about the best way that we can make those collections available. So we're very optimistic that there's a fantastic future for international collaboration, and each one that we do teaches us more about how to do them really well. So hopefully we will get better working in collaboration with other libraries like the National Library of China.
Okay, thank you. Big data and cloud computing has become the most discussed topics right now in China. So what about the situation in England?
We are always trying to look ahead at what the new digital technologies will bring us. We've been doing a lot of work recently on digital scholarship and new ways in which scholars of the future will work with text. when we understand that historically people had to come into the reading rooms and read texts, whereas now they can have algorithmic tools and they've got technologies that will allow them to look at a huge corpus of text at one time. They can ask different questions. They can work in new ways, and they expect libraries like ourselves to serve them, therefore, in new ways. So we have to think about digitizing material. We have to think about getting the content of the collection available in forms as data that it's never been before. And then we have to think about working with those communities of scholars to think about the tools and technologies that they will need. The good thing is that we're not alone. There are a lot of organisations working on this, and we see this as a major part of our international collaboration as well, to work with other organisations around the world that have similar collections, so that we can learn together about what the best ways are to make these collections available in a purely digital world.
Okay, thank you. What do you think is a qualified librarian, and what kind of training program do you have for your staff?
I've been a librarian for 30 years now, so I'm feeling very old as a librarian. But I think the major role has not changed. Our role is to make sure that people get the information they need to support them in making whatever choices or whatever decisions they are making in their lives at that stage, whether those are educational questions or educational choices, whether those are social choices that they're making, whether it's information for their health, information for their education, information for their family. It doesn't matter. The role of the librarian is still the same, but the technologies we have to use to provide those services is changing rapidly. So one of the big things I see is the development of digital skills for the library professions. And not just being able to work in a purely digital environment, but also management skills and leadership skills as well. Our programs tend to focus on basic skills development. So we're looking at new models of apprenticeship schemes. So people coming into the library at a very early stage in their career, and us helping them develop and evolve. We bring in people who have already been through formal educational qualifications, and we then develop them in different ways according to their specialities. But also we would bring in people at senior levels who've maybe worked in other industries or who've worked in other types of role, and we bring them in because of their management skills, their leadership skills, and we provide all of the support and training for all of these different levels. So there isn't just one route through. There's not one single path. There are many paths that people can follow for a career in the British Library, and we want to continue to encourage and to support many paths through the library.
Okay. In recent years, the British Library published 13 to 40 books based on your own collection every year. And wartime nursery rhymes is very popular, as well as Sherlock Holmes series. Could you share some experience on the promotion of the collection within the British Library?
Historically, most of our marketing has been to support some of the services that we would charge for. So what you might see is commercial services or services where people paid to help us cover the cost of running those services. And historically, we've never really thought about marketing beyond a traditional commercial sense. Whereas now I think we're beginning to see marketing as a very powerful way of opening up access to people. Historically, we've never had to advertise our reading rooms, for example. We've never thought about marketing our reading rooms because they're always full. So if they're full of people, then what is the point of marketing? Why would you want to attract more people? But actually, it's very important to use marketing as a way of communicating with people the value of the services that you offer. And there may be a lot of people out there who are not aware of the benefits that they could have if they came to use the library. So we want to use marketing to reach new audiences, the types of people who don't traditionally come to the library. We would like to reach them, and therefore we want to reach out to them through marketing to them in new ways. We would also like, for example, we do market our big exhibitions, but we have never traditionally marketed our permanent treasures gallery. It's open all the time, lots of people come to visit it. But again, we feel if we market that, we will be able to reach new audiences and make them aware of the benefits that they could have and of the value of coming to the library. And those are not commercial services. That's to make sure that we are, as an organisation, we are funded by the people of the UK, and we want to make sure that through marketing we reach back to all those people, and that people become more aware of the services that we can offer, even all the free ones.
Okay, thank you. What kind of challenge and opportunities do you think the future may have in store for the British Library?
Well, again, I think the digital challenge is one that will be constantly there. As an organisation, we are collecting new types of material. We're collecting new digital types of material, and we are just learning now how we have to manage those collections. So, for example, over the last 5 to 10 years, we have started collecting websites, and so we need to learn how to preserve and how to make sure those websites will be there in 200 years in exactly the same way as our precious manuscripts will still be there in 200 years. So there's a change to what we're collecting. There's a change to the work that we have to do to manage those collections. And then there are changes in the way that we need to make those collections available to people. So when those collections are digital, we have to think of new services that meet people's digital expectations, which are very different from the expectations of people used to physical books. And I think that will be a constant area of development for us. That will constantly keep changing, and we will be running to catch up and to stay ahead of it, I think.
The last question. Could you please use a simple sentence to describe the ideal library in your mind?
One sentence, okay. Well, I think if it's one sentence, I should use the sentence that we use in our current strategy, called Living Knowledge, and that says that as an organisation, we want to make the intellectual heritage which is stored in our collections available to everybody, whether it's for research or education or inspiration or enjoyment. Because people come with very different needs, but we have a duty to try and satisfy all of them. And so that's what I think we do.
通过对卡洛琳·布雷泽女士的采访，我们可以感受到英国国家图书馆的服务精神。 正如阮刚纳赞在《图书馆学5定律》当中提到的第1定律所言，书是为了用的。英国国家图书馆在不断地寻求方法开发自己的馆藏，将馆藏的精神遗产对每一个人开放。尽管环境和需求是在不断变化的，他们也在做出相应的调整与改变。此外，在采访过程中，我们听到最多的一个词语就是数字化。的确，数字化正是全球图书馆共同面临的一个问题，而我们图书馆人也在以积极的心态直面这个挑战。加强交流将有助于我们共同应对这个挑战。谢谢大家收看本期节目，下期再见。